the Playground Experience. I have here with my lovely co-host here, Kathy and us. Yay! And of course, you see, we have a guest here, our own award-winning, extraordinaire coach, professional, business, relationship.
Oh.
Well, I persona here. I'm gonna let her say her name because they know I will murderize a name. And you'll be like, what the heck is I'm not coming on here no more. Give it to us. What is it?
I am Coach Michelanome.
Yes, okay. I'm going to name her everything else but the right name, and I don't want to chop it up and mess it up.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I thank you all for allowing me to join you tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for coming. I told you, we said we were going to have something special. We're doing something different on the playground. We're getting other people on the playground along with us to play on the sandbox and the swings with us. So we got her hanging out there with us, along with us as we're getting ourselves propped and ready for these energies that we're dealing with right now at this time. I think they're still a little rocky, a little funny there, but we're kind of pretty much weathering through it. Right now, we got a lot of things that's going on, like bodily, that's going on with quite a few of us. We can all say that, adjusted to the new year, and again, mentally about things that's going on, because we got a lot of things that's going on the outside in the world that's kind of also playing a part as that mental. It's almost like a swirl of energy. It's like almost like a little tornado, but it's not big, but it's just like a nice windy day where I can see like wind and leaves kind of swirling around right now. But it's not major, but that's just what we're dealing with
Right.
So Kathy D, what's happening for you? What's with the energy? So how you dealing and faring with the new year?
So far, so good. I haven't asked for my 30-day refund yet from 2021. I have discussed it with a friend of mine that we don't know if we signed up for the 30-day money back guarantee or the 30,000 miles. And so either one of those was getting pretty close, but it's been all right. It's just been the shifting of these planets that haven't happened in so long. It seems to be really zapping my energy real quickly. Like just sit down and I'm just like, I'm done. I'm ready to go to sleep. And it's that deep sleep, like where you're getting the downloads and everything. So it has been interesting. But I've seen it with my students too. As they sit and read and things like that, I'll start out of the blue. These kids have more energy than they know what to do with it. I'm just watching them and they're like, and I'm like, "Did you stay up late?" No, I don't know why. I just keep falling asleep. So
wow.
Interesting.
It is very interesting.
April, how's it going for you?
So the last 3 years since I saw you last week have been incredible. Time is speeding up. Timelines are converging. Concentration is needed, and the importance of, I'm really excited to work with you today and have you on our show. Am I looking the right way? I get to do it. Like, it's so nice to have you here. I'm just
right. Oh,
you gotta do like TikTok.
It's nice to be here. Thank you so much.
All this stuff has been coming up about communication and appropriate communication and the new family dynamic, and it has been incredible and patience trying.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's not the last nerve because I'm growing a whole new set, but it's still pretty tender. And so, even my poor sweetheart, he's going through things right now. This moon has been incredible. Our cycles feel like they're getting stronger. Like my hormone surgings have been so extreme. Like I'm just weeping now, but in a beautiful way, like of release where I'm not attached. I'm actually in a state of, I'm just happy to be with this group, to be able to have these conversations with a spiritual context, that's not so dogmatic that it stops people from understanding where you're coming from. And so I've been able to release all these different parts of myself. Now it's a matter of communicating with others about that and holding the position of boundaries, of, self-care and self-respect, and as well as teaching boundaries to the next generation, right?
Yeah.
My sweet son, he's in that stage of, I don't want to hear no, or I start throwing a fit, but then I'll grab a hot tea and spill it on myself, and I will just and it breaks everybody's heart when a child gets injured. But there's a state of, okay, we have all the remedies, we can correct this, but how do we instill in that child? How do we instill in the little inner us that you're not under this types of stress that you were? You're no longer carrying the weight, because I feel the weight has come off, and it's being guided, the steps, now acting upon them and consistently acting upon them, and being okay with patting yourself on the back anyway, even if you didn't reach the goal you wanted to reach it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm in that state of reassessing, like, what did you do? Well, you're this many years old. Did you do X, Y, Z? No, but you did do P, S, and T. I don't know where I'm jumping around with the alphabet, but you guys get me here.
Yeah.
It sounds like 9.
Yeah. And a lot of people are hard on themselves with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially dealing with like the 2020 and moving into now, is just like, is it really in a state of just like not knowing? This is uncertainty of this year. It's like it's a clean slate, but I feel a lot of people energetically is like, okay, now what do I do with it? I'm a little scared to kind of do something radical and start something new, because maybe something is going to happen in return. So it's that scared kind of feeling, what I feel with some people. It's like, but they know it's something new, and this is for them to go out there and just be a risk taker in doing it. But it's just like, again, just like that nudge to tell them that, hey, it's okay, you can go out there and spread your wings. You could try that new business. Don't worry about what's going on. If you feel spirit led or in your spirit to do something now that nobody else has heard of, this is the time for you to actually do it. And not to be scared to do that, even in this new year and what's going on. Who's Ice Wallow come? Who is this?
They are new. They are joining us from.
I'm trying to shout out for my mother from the ladies. I'm trying to see.
Watching from the UK, they said.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So now, let's get into our guests. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, what you do and you're specializing, and how you're so award winning.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow. So let me just mention that I was pouting into January 2021. I kept saying it's just another day. So I was like, we're moving to because when I see the calendar, I go from December to January, and it's like you do this, right? But I was like, we're just down here moving on to another day.
Okay.
I transparently, I was kicking and screaming into 2021.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's where I was. So I looked at, because it just didn't seem like, you the whole 2020, when you go into a new year, you have the celebration, and it just felt different. And so it didn't feel like we were transferring into a new year. It was really weird, but I am Coach Michelanome. I'm a life and relationship coach. I am also an award-winning speaker. I am an author. I've authored a book titled Rejection Saved My Life. It has 15 transformational keys on using rejection as fuel. Fuel stands for faith upgraded to exponential levels. And it's a self-help memoir that teaches people how to get through rejection through some of the stories that I have gone through. And this is a copy of the book here. And it is really, I've been told it's a pretty good read. It takes me right. It takes me through every emotion. I had one of the girls who I had do a read, so that in the beginning, so I could see what the market would look like. She said, I threw the book, I pick it back up, I cry, I'd scream, I'd yell, I'd laugh. I do all of the emotions that you can think of. So I thought that was pretty good because I was able to tap into all of those, and people said that. So it's pretty good. So I ended up writing the book because I had gone through a lot of rejection in my life, and it gives those stories from, you know, being rejected by my biological mother, to being rejected and going through 4 marriages and 4 divorces, to being rejected. One of the things in the story I read, the introduction, it talks about, do you guys remember Catch a Girl, Kiss a Girl? There was a little, yeah. So I'm dating myself saying that, but I talk about this Catch a Girl, Kiss a Girl, and how it really teaches us when we're young how to be rejected and what that really means. And so from that, just different things and aspects of my life, I was always never the popular girl, but I was always remembered. Everybody knew who I was, but I was never with the popular crowd. So just a lot of different aspects of my life that I went through. And my last divorce really prompted the rejection saved my life thing because of the relationship and how things had transpired, with me finding out that he was living a double life. And that double life could have taken my life based off of the findings of his medical goings on in his body. And when I found out that I was not HIV positive along with him, he was angry. But it wasn't, the thing about it is he was always rejecting me. So it was like, okay, schedule sex. Or, you know, well, let's not have it today. Can we do it in like 3 days? You know, so just different things like that. And so me not interacting with him in that manner is what I believe that the Father allowed the grace to be upon my life, which I think that the grace has been on my life for a very long time because of so many things I've been through, and still have the heart and the mind and the desire to still seek out love and still seek out God's people and still want to have a relationship with Source and knowing what that really means and want to share that. So yeah, rejection saved my life. It saved my spirit. It saved my mind. It saved me, you know. So I always tell people I never want to, if I had to do my life all over again, I wouldn't change a thing. Wouldn't change a thing.
Exactly.
So I turned that into a business called the Core Woman Academy. And now I teach women the things that I learned because I had to go through a transformation. I took 365 literal days, no working, no dating, no hanging out with friends, no leaving my house except for to go get food. Right. And I did that so that I can go through a transformational healing, so that I can go inside, go down the rabbit hole, as they say, and find out those things that I had parts in those 4 marriages and 4 divorces. Because although, yeah, I didn't, you know, you can't make somebody cheat on you. You can't make somebody abuse you. You can't make any of those things happen. But I still had my part. And I had to find out what parts I had so that I can not do those again, right? And at least have my hands to be clean. Because that's one of the things I teach my clients. Your hands must be clean. And if your hands can be clean, then you can ask the Father to then come on your behalf. And then it'll be easier to work through that. And so once I went through that whole process, I had to realize that it wasn't just nothing. Like I couldn't have gone through, you know, being molested and being raped and being left by my mother and having to, you know, at 7 years old, take care of 2 kids that my mother had. They were 5 and 6 years younger than me. And I had to go, I couldn't imagine that my creator of everything in this world would just allow me to go through that just because he was like, yeah, just go through it. It had to be for a bigger reason. And so I realized that bigger reason was for me to be able to help as many women as I possibly could, women and couples, to one, know how to love themselves, and then to be able to take that love and to love someone else. Because ultimately, you know, we need to know how to do that in order to love the right way. And if we don't love ourselves, we're pouring out of empty vessels. And if we pour out of empty vessels, how long is that going to last before we're toxic, right? Because if
Right.
you take something and you're trying to pour, what's going to happen to that vessel is going to start to do this. It's going to start to shrink because you're trying to get out of nothing but air. And so as it's shrinking, now what's happening to it, it's not in its purpose. It's not creating anything like itself. It's not being compassionate. All it's doing is being full of pain. Because just imagine you squeezing this bottle. It's gonna be painful. You're gonna go through all these different things. You're gonna feel the creaks and the burns and all of those things in your body and your mind, your body and your spirit, and you're giving that off to other people. And so that's why I teach my couples and the individuals that I work with how to do that and how to have healthy, long-lasting relationships.
That is
Yes.
beautiful. That is
Mhm.
beautiful. You're such a
Yeah.
powerful speaker. I love it. Does everybody feeling this already? Are we feeling it? Who's got some triggers? Who got some stuff coming up? I know we got questions. Start writing them. Start thinking them, and
Right.
subscribe.
True. I'm just marveling. I'm kind of choking back a little bit of the tears a little bit because I'm like, source connected us. I don't know her story at all. Something source told her to connect to reach out to me. I had a million things over LinkedIn. And as I'm listening to her story, I'm hearing, although we're saying about us as divine lovers or twin flames or whatever, but the story, it doesn't matter. It's still, I'm seeing pieces of where we can both learn from what she's talking about, especially when you're saying about the rejection and the part where you said, which to us, we call it separation, where you have to pull away from the situation to really start to assess yourself to see, okay, where did it go wrong? Instead of me keep on blaming it like you could have your ex. Oh, it's your fault. This, but really turning around and saying, okay, what is my part? And that's the reason why separation is for, again, the rejection is a protection from source, as they always say. And so, what were some things that you had did? I mean, what got you to that point to say, you know what, you could have been a person that was sitting up there just saying it's all his fault. He put me in this position, that made you turn around and say, you know what, it was something that clicked you to say, you know what, let me, that made you say to go in that separation. What was it that made you say, you know what, it's me, oh Lord, standing in your need of prayer. It's not that person. So what was it that moment? It was something that made you go, shit, okay.
Well, first of all, it was the father because
Okay.
I originally tried to write my book out of a telltale. I'm gonna tell on you. You done did want me wrong, and you ain't never gonna do that again. And that black girl came up at me, with my hair rolling, right? And the father said, "Set your butt down. Just go ahead, sit down, because you ain't doing it that way, right? You will not go out and mar that man's name in the name of your pride."
Okay.
And he so much set me down that he made me go back and apologize for the little bit of marring that I did do. Because I had to tell my story, not his, right? My book doesn't tell his story. My book tells my story. And that's what it had to be. And so when the father had me go through that, and actually it took me like 3 weeks to finally go and call him up and say, well, can we meet for pie? Because I need, And when we got there, he's like, what you want? I'm like, I'm sorry. And you could see the whole relaxation in his body. And he was like, I'm sorry too. And began to just spill. And we're both spilling and apologizing and releasing that anger. Now, I don't know what happened after the book came out, but at that table, it was released, right? And so that's when I was able to start my healing process. And through that, I had to go. I mean, I didn't initially go through, oh, this is what this is. It was like, oh, I'm depressed. Why? Okay, so I feel really bad. Oh, I feel like I want to die. Oh, and I'm going through this entire process of, like you said, that separation. And I didn't realize what it was until my spiritual sister was like, you're mourning. I'm like, mourning? We've been split up for a year. We should have did that like a year ago. That should have that's be gone, right? And she's like, no, you need to go through this. And her and my spiritual brother, they would pray me through. Oh my God, if it wasn't for those two, I would not be sitting here, because they kept me and kept me lifted and kept my arms up, literally, for me to be able to keep moving. And so to answer you directly, it was the Lord really snapping me into place and saying, you don't get to choose how this process will go. Because I remember he wanted me, the Father said to me, stay. And I said, stay? You want me to stay with him like this? He's like, yeah, stay. And I was like, ooh. So it took me 45 days to make that decision. And my mind, I'm a visual person. My mind began to visualize him living this life and the things he was doing. And I couldn't shake them. And I asked the Father, I said, I'm sorry. I need you to let me out of this. And he said to me, he said, okay, but there will still be a process. I was like, okay, well, I guess I go through the process. But boy, I did not have a clue that that process was going to be anything like I've had in the last 4 years, well, really almost 5 years of process. And so it didn't start with it started with the 365, but then there was more process, the abstinence, the not dating until I got to Atlanta. And I've been here a little bit less than 2 years. So in that, just a lot of different things in the process, being able to see myself and really, he's like, you can't go out with ego. You can't pretend that this is you. You don't get to say this is your glory. I will not let you do that. I'll shut you down first. And me and the Father, we have real conversations. So it was really him saying, no, you won't do it that way. Yeah. So, and as soon as he released me, as soon as I was able to do that, the book came and I was able to write the whole book in 3 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah. 3 weeks.
So did you hear that, everybody? I want to recap for those in the back who try to trail out when they got a little bit triggered. Okay.
Now, I know on your website and on some of your YouTube videos, you talk about forgiveness and you talk about abuse. Now, what would be some of your simple techniques? Because I think our eyes are really being open to the different types of abuse for so many years, especially those of us that are older. It was physical abuse, and that was it. That we heard physical abuse and child abuse; those were what were ever talked about. And now we have learned, there's emotional, there's mental, of course, there's physical, there's financial, all of these different forms of abuse. How do you coach a woman to forgive after they've been through this abuse? Because that's a hard place, and I know I've been there. Yeah. So I want your opinion on this.
Man, forgiveness is something that a lot of people think that it's going to take this whole, oh my God, we just had, this magnificent thing that just happened. The sky lit up, it opened up, and then the Father's, No, it's not that. It's just simply, it's really us making a decision to decide and then working through that process. It's the work part, right? So one of the things I tell my clients is, first of all, and I had to do this literally. So I would be in places even after when I started to go about my days outside of my house, I had to write down every person I thought. And I say thought because just because you write these people down because you feel like you had an offense from this person doesn't mean that they know that they offended you. So I had to write down everybody I felt like they offended me. And then write down reasons why I thought they offended me and go through them one by one. I forgive ... for this out loud because words have power, right? I forgive, and had to do that every single day like clockwork. And there would be times when, those get those fleeting thoughts, that fleeting thought would pass and I go, I forgive for ... And so I had to go through that process over and over and over again until I got to the place where I felt light, where I felt like it was removing, like taking off jackets of pain and disappointment and discord and all these different things for every person that I felt like they did some type of harm to me, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, financially, to me. I had to do that. And I've experienced that moment where, people say, I can forgive, but I will not forget. I've experienced that forgiving and that forgetting. It was with a gentleman that I dated after in my stead of right after, because I didn't go through my process until a year after I was divorced. So right in the divorce, the edge of my divorce when my divorce was final, I began to date thinking, okay, I'm just going to get over him and I'll find somebody else kind of thing. We tend to, they say the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else. Bad advice, right?
Very bad advice.
So I call myself trying to do that. And that guy was a total jerk during that time. And I went through this whole thing because, of course, I'm dealing with the emotions from my previous marriage that I never dealt with because I was going through my play. I do a suicide awareness and prevention play during Suicide Awareness Month. And that was the time when we were going through rehearsals. We were just too busy for me to even cry. So I was with this guy. We were talking and everything. He became a real jerk. And at that point, I was like done, like, oh my God, I hate these guys, or they're this and that. And so a year before, maybe about 6 months before I came to Atlanta, me and my spiritual sister had an event and we needed someone to come and assist us. And we were trying to figure out how much, who we can get for manpower and everything. And we couldn't figure it out. And she's like, well, can I invite so-and-so? I'm like, yeah, why not? We need the help. And she's like, no, what do you mean? It's okay. She's like, you sure? I said, oh yeah, you can invite him. We need the manpower. So bring him. And she's like, are you sure? And I'm like, why do you keep asking me? Am I sure about this? So we're going on about the day. I'm like, wait a minute, why did you ask me that? And she's like, you don't remember what happened? I said, no, I don't. And she began to share with me what I had shared with her. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So there is a time when you decide in your life that you no longer want to be bound by the things that you feel like people harmed you with. Because forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. So yeah.
More people need to understand that the forgiveness is for us, not for them.
Absolutely.
And that freeing of being able to look at somebody, especially after being in a situation where there has been abuse, and to be able to look at them and say, I'm sorry, but then also tell them thank you.
Yeah.
Because you lifted me higher than I could lift myself. You showed me what I was capable of.
Yeah. I love that. That's good. That's good. Yeah. So it's just people need to understand that if they want to live an abundant life, it starts with your heart, your mind, and your spirit. Because nothing else, the laws of attraction, reaping and sowing, whatever you want to call it, they're absolute. And we attract that which we are. And if you want to attract something good, then you have to have that inside. You have to feel that inside. You can't fake that. You really can't. Your life will tell you if you're faking it.
Oh, yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Show up and tell on you. You just, all your business be out in the street,
Right. Like, did I do that? Yeah, you did that. Yeah, you did that. You know you did. You aren't trying. I'm figuring I'm going to try to be something different. No, dear heart. You're going to track like attracts like.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm funny, we were talking earlier, and Coach was saying also about the words, how you name things. And I thought about April. She wasn't on here earlier. And April, she's always getting on us, the verbiage. Watch what you're saying, how you're saying it. And you were saying about how you need to also watch how you're naming things too. Name words have power as well. So I thought that was also, again, naming the situation.
Yeah.
Being in the relationship, a naming the person, a naming your own self, the dialogue you have inward about the whole situation. You've got to watch that as well.
Yeah.
April, did you want to chime in? You said something. I feel the wheels are turning with you. There's a lot of
there's a lot in terms of the process of moving forward, right? And when you're attempting to move forward, I myself, so I come from a different thought pattern in terms of like how I tend to take all the blame, take all the responsibility. And I'm learning the opposite way of, oh no, other people can be responsible. You are not necessarily having to have control or power over everything, and also asking for what it is you need and being open to receive that.
Yeah.
Because it's all well and good to do the work, but if you're not open to receiving. And one of the key things that I think that Coach Michelanome, did I say that right?
Yes. Yep.
Yay. Okay. And now get my mom to the
Yes.
airport on time, right? Michelanome. Yes. So it's how do we, just women in general who, or people in general who have the tendency to overcompensate, over take on too much, right? Set that boundary for ourselves to actually see the true perspective of an experience.
I love that. So I always tell my clients things like, one, in order for you, true abundance means to me that you are allowing, because that's that spirit of allowance, right? You are allowing yourself to live in the moment, right? And that you can only control yourself. You don't have control over what someone else does, think, or act. You can only control you. But if you don't allow yourself to master who you are, that's the mastering who we are through our minds, through how we speak, how we act, how we walk, how we think. If we learn to master those things about ourselves, then we won't try to put our hands on anything else because we're too busy with our hands on ourselves. Right. So then that's me taking responsibility for me, because I could take responsibility for me and know that I'm not that important, that I have the power to make them do anything else. Because the part of us being the part of us being made in the image of the creator, he didn't give us that much of that. He didn't give us the power over creating other people except for the babies that come through our wombs. And even those, we have been proven, I know I have as a mother, that we don't have control over them either. Even as babies. So, to going back to your question, we have to get to the point where we realize that we're important enough to control who we are, but not that important enough to control other people. And when we really take that power and give it back to the Father, give it back to the Creator, give it back to Source, however we want to call it, we have to understand that that's His business. It's not ours. And He would not allow us to take on all of that, because it took two of us to tango, as they say, right? It took whoever was in that situation, it took those two people. And when you take two people coming together in any way, shape, or form, there's going to be some type of contrast happening, right? There's going to be this power they're going to be hovering over each other until they get to the point where they learn how to harmonize and then come together. And whether that's a romantic relationship, familial relationship, friendship, it doesn't matter. You've got to get to the place where you're not doing this. Because if you take, it's kind of like, I always use the example of magnets. You take two magnets, you take one magnet, you put it up against the refrigerator, it's just going to stick to the refrigerator, right? You take two magnets and you put them next to each other, they're just going to do this. If you put them together, they'll bounce right back off. That's kind of how people are with us and our spiritual beings. We don't recognize that. We're trying to figure out what is that. Then you find those people where you kind of get together and it's real easy for you to do this. But then some people, not so much. So you have to just give that power back to that person, because they can only control themselves and not take on that, because it's too heavy. God wouldn't do that to you, and we have to, I'm sorry, y'all. I got a little warm in here. My age is telling me. Let me take my little sock off. Sorry.
I got a little myself too. That's the spirit.
Lord have mercy. I was sitting here like about to pass out.
No,
So
that's
Well, I guess what I want to get to is like, just bluntly, like when you like, it took me years to realize how much my ex-husband had lied to me, right? and then how that related to my father and I's relationship, and how that related to what I observed from other father figures and etc., and how they interacted with females, right? So it took a while to actually get to that point of realization, and it was about a year, actually, maybe no, yeah, after the divorce, instead of taking all the blame, looking at, oh, I'm not the only other one, I'm not the only person in this relationship, as you were saying, but also how to step into, because my baby's just waking up right now, so he might come on for a little visit, but how to actually say, no, you're worthy, and actually receive, right? Because you can be in that working space where you're doing all the cleansing, but you're saying, I'm putting a hold on what God is offering me, and He's offering me exactly what I want, but I'm too afraid to take it because I've made all these mistakes that I'm carrying now.
Right.
So I don't want to take the opportunity. So how do we do that? How do we flow with that?
So just so I'm clear, do you mean, how can you trust yourself to be accepting or have your hands open to what the source has for you versus you walking around like this? So it's more of trusting who you are than more of the taking blame. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Reestablishing that connection with the self consistently, or with just trusting God in general, or the universe source in general,
right,
consistently, because like, oh yes, okay, I'm doing it, I'm doing the work, but now I think I'm addicted to XYZ level of trauma, so I'm just going to stay there, versus, oh, it's okay to actually be happy and step into the next level.
Yeah, I get it. And you know what? I just had this with a client earlier today with being able to trust who she is. The word trust means having confidence in that you have the ability to do XYZ. Okay. In order for you to have confidence, and I always say that confidence is created through competence. Competence can be something as, you know, you're learning how to do how to sew, how to sing, how to whatever that is. And we're always, all of us, whether we have low self-esteem, because I dealt with low self-esteem for 32 years of my life. I hated what I looked like. And I didn't have mirrors in my house because of it. And so, but I still was good at something. I was always really smart. I was always an A student. And so I used what I learned, what I was confident in, and learned how to do that same thing. What did I do to be competent in that thing, to build competence in other things? And so then what you do is you start to see your competence rise in that thing, and then the other thing, and then the other thing. And then you start to go, oh, so I'm not that bad at all. Not only, another exercise I give to my clients is to find people that really love you. You got some people, I don't care if it's one or two people, there's always somebody that's going to think you're greater than you are, than you think at that moment. What do you see in me? Tell me. Write it down for me and read that thing consistently to build yourself up, because we have to know how that we are loved in order to trust. And if you don't trust yourself because you think that you made all the wrong decisions, you made all the bad choices, you chose the wrong guys, and oh my goodness, he keeps coming around, what is this situation? But if you look at yourself and try to figure out, okay, what parts do I have? I did not create this whole mess by myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since I didn't create the whole mess by myself, which parts did I do? And you have to really be, but a lot of people won't know how to go through this process by themselves, because we have to get to the place where we stop thinking that we're islands unto ourselves. The Father said it is not good for man to be alone. That wasn't just for a husband and wife or romantic relationships. It was because we need each other to heal, right? I, as a coach, have coaches. I got somebody to help check me, get me back in the line, snatch me up and say, you're not doing that. So if you don't know how to walk through that place, you got to know what those specific things are. You know, like you spoke, April, about, you learned how to attract guys that lied based off of your relationship with your father. And so you built that trust or lack thereof from the first man in your life. So you probably felt like, well, this is kind of normal. And then when you realize that it wasn't normal, you're like, well, what would make me think that was normal? Well, it wasn't that you made you think that it was normal. The first person in your life that showed you what beauty in relationships is supposed to be is what made it normal. And then when you could say, oh, so that's where I learned that from. It wasn't my fault. You see? So now you can take that fault and put it back on your dad and say, well, he did the best he could, but he taught me that was wrong. And that's okay. Right? And that goes that forgiveness thing. Well, I forgive my dad for not knowing better. And then you can forgive yourself for not knowing that was not right, because we have a part in that, because there's too much information in this world, or too many people that we could have talked to that says, that don't sound right. You sure you want to do that? That would prompt us to think about something to say, hey, what was that? And then go to whatever our belief system is, our mothers, our fathers, our aunties, our uncles. Somebody was there to say, yeah, you check that a little bit, sis. And we may have not done that. So we have to forgive them and forgive ourselves for that part. And so those types of things is what build the trust. Trust is not going to come overnight once it's broken. It is a process. And then check this out. Once you learn the process, you learn the keys and the strategies and how to get that done. Now you got to test them. Because when you get into a new relationship, you're going to go, well, I did all this work and I still don't trust this brother. And you'll wonder why. But then you have to check yourself and go, what is that? Deepak Chopra says, unless you can prove something 100%, forget about it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that was profound, because how many times do we have 10% of something and we go, I don't trust you. Oh, I saw you typing on that phone while we were in the bed. He's typing his boss, right? Mm-hmm. But I know you were typing a woman based off of our past. The next thing you really must have to do, you have to let go. And that's that part of living in the moment. You don't bring the past into your moments. Otherwise, they're not. I think of the past as experiences, right? When you go to a theme park, right, they always talk about, this is going to be the greatest experience that you ever had. And what happens? That experience stops and it ends, right? Mm-hmm. You think about an experience. I had an experience with this guy who hurt my heart. It was an experience. It's got to leave. It's got to end. I can't keep taking that experience into the next experience, because I'm not giving that experience the beauty of being just it by itself. Mm-hmm. So it is really going to take a process. It's going to take you deciding to trust. One of the things I said, I actually did a blog post from a person asking about a question. And I told them that, trust is a decision. It is something that you have to decide and then work towards. And whatever that working towards means, that you're not sitting here wondering what that person's doing. You're not wondering if they're lying. You're not thinking the worst before it happens, because you're not giving yourself first and foremost the benefit of the doubt, and then that person. Did I answer?
Yeah.
Well, I've got a couple things coming up. One person in, but the other one, I'm going to jump to the.
That's what I was about to say. You seen them?
You want to put them up? I see you.
Yeah, because I was like, they're like a student. They're like, excuse me, Miss Tucker. And I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Let me finish what I'm saying. Excuse me. I said, okay, I see this. Here we go. So I got to take it piece by piece. Okay, so now Peaceful Warrior said they started dating a girl a few weeks ago, and congratulations, because we got, okay. And we see, she said, she is not emotionally available because she's afraid, but have fun together. She is really attracted and didn't expect to feel like this. She used to call me every day, talk on the phone for hours, and we started sleeping together from the second date. I know when a girl likes me, and she likes me a lot, but now she backed away. Their feeling and their premise is that the reason for that is because I feel like she is scared, because she didn't believe she would feel this way. Okay, so we're gonna have everybody chime in on this one, so they'll get everybody's perspective, so you'll know, peaceful warrior, so you can be put at peace. All right. So now, what is your? You're gonna be like your namesake, like Coach said. Okay, peaceful warrior. All
Yeah.
right. So now, what is it? We're gonna start off with the guest first, the guest of honor. So, what's your take on that? What do you think?
So this is the thing. You have to really pay attention to what people tell you and then how they back it up with their actions. If this person says, I'm not emotionally available, that is them saying in a nice way, yeah, I want to have fun, but I don't want to commit.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to take that into and let it be what it is. So she may have just been having fun, and then now it's getting a little serious because you want a little bit more than maybe she wants, and because you want more than she wants, she's going to back away. She in her mind she may be thinking, I'm doing this to save you from whatever emotional disconnection that I would really have. So I would just rather back away, leave it alone, and let you work through that little bit of piece that I think I might have hurt you with.
Okay. All right. Jedi mind trickster, Kathy D.
I totally agree, and I also feel that you feeling like she's scared because she didn't think she or didn't believe she would feel this way. I think that's partially to some of your insecurities and vulnerabilities that you didn't think that after she said she was emotionally unavailable, you were like, okay, this is just for fun. We're just going to treat it like a sporting event. Come on in, we're going to do it, and then you're going to leave. And thanks, have a great time. Call me in the morning. And you started getting feelings as well. So that fear, I think, that you're picking up on is something you're projecting on maybe to her that you're feeling. So we have to kind of be mindful and take inventory of our own emotions in the situations. Um, as we look at our relationships, because sometimes it can be they can mirror what our insecurities and our vulnerabilities are.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna play angel's advocate. I'll be the angel.
I will also play Angel's
I'll be.
Advocate.
I'll
Let me
play
bring my baby first.
I'll play on their side. Okay, peaceful warrior. Okay, so now my take is that she had to go and process about what transpired between the both of you all. Okay, you might be right. You might even feel that again intuitively she didn't feel. Maybe she doesn't know at this time what to put a name to it or a label to it at this time. That transpired between you two, and she probably was. I feel when Coach said, I feel really that she really was in it just to play, like Coach and Kathy said. Okay, they're kind of on the money about that she was just really into it to play and not to really get too deep and serious about it. Okay, then she might have afterwards to say, okay, well, maybe something maybe hit right, maybe okay, all right, now, whoa, what was that? So you're going to have to give her some time to kind of process at this time. So I'm going to play angel's advocate with you and be on your side to saying, give her some time to process those things like that. And then see, especially if she's telling you she's unavailable, to me, you're going to have to kind of play to their tune a little bit until I wouldn't go after because she's already in that scared mode. So if you go and reach out and touch her, well, I just want to say, for me, my aspect, it might make her go,
Yeah.
more,
Mm-hmm.
at this point. So I'm gonna play the positive, the nice auntie today, and just say I'm with you on that, and that just give her some time to process things. That's my take. I'll play the nice one, the good cop. April, can you talk?
Yeah. She's still, the baby's
Yep.
still crying.
He's got a cast on his arm. What happened?
Oh, that baby's like, no, this is not happening.
He's usually really, really good. He's such a sweetheart.
You don't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like, no, mm-mm.
Nope, not having it.
Oh,
Well, peaceful warrior.
Oh man, I was so close.
yeah. One of the things I want to mention to Peaceful Warrior is that you gotta is that's why I think because I'm a guy who goes with the flow, I'm giving her space also. When a lot of times, if she may have been feeling like she she thought that she could play this, that this could be okay, and that she may have been hurt before.
Mhm.
People don't pull back just because they just, especially women, we don't pull back just because we feel like playing with people's hearts. We pull back out of protecting our hearts, out of protecting what we believe could be hurt. Because now she's
Mhm.
feeling, she's catching feels, she's caught these feelings for you. And she's like, wait a minute, there may be some insecurities in her. She's like, man, why does he want me like that? There could be some of that going on.
Mhm.
It could be some things that she may have, just been dealing with herself. So it's not. I don't think women typically don't use guys in that manner, right? If you'd have told me you gave all your money, we have another conversation. But
Car keys and things like that. Yeah, then we.
you know, when you have intimacy, women, we're receivers. We it's easy for us to receive, and now we have these soul ties and we're connected in that manner. So as Divine said, give her some time, and if she wants to come back, then she will. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Is she gonna? We'll see. Maybe.
Hey, okay, I'm physically disabled, so I was doing that with my little hand, and I was like, "What's gonna happen? You just click, little hand. You keep clicking." Okay.
That was me. I'm sorry. That was you. What, you hear me talking? I don't know what's going on. Don't think me
yeah.
so,
out. I'm here. As long as you off
so
mic, boy, that's great.
for peaceful warrior, the the main thing is to remain true to self and not be attached to whatever this woman is going to do. So if you're going to love her regardless.
Mhm.
An essence of the twin flame experience, there tends to be a lot of associated trauma release, and we come to face a lot of the things we really didn't want to face, and a lot of the things that you're saying, they may be in line, but also find out where it is within you that is attracted to that. Someone who is emotionally unavailable and
Mm.
states they're emotionally unavailable. And even though you're pouring out this amazing energy and support, they didn't fully receive it, right? And so there's something there as well to be explored within the self. So as long as you have compassion towards yourself, compassion towards this woman in the situation, remain at peace and know that you put in your best effort. Um, until then, you know, just kind of just flow with it and see what God has, the source universe has for you next, right? Because even so, you were able to expand and open your heart and have that connection. And so that's a huge deal. Some people don't even let themselves have that.
Yeah.
Back on you.
Oh, okay, all right. So, my next question was, and since we're talking about what trust is, I know a lot of them on the twin flame journey, or you say divine, or finding the ultimate partner, soulmate, or whatever. A lot of them are going to. The thing is coming back to the same person who hurt you. So, how do you build trust underneath those circumstances? After they've learned lessons, they've come to you as a new person. You're coming to them as the new person. You've been through your little journey, your adventure. How do you learn how to reapply trust to a situation like that? I think a lot of us twin flames pretty much are going to experience that, as far as like really, like you said before, letting go of what happened in the past, really dropping it, letting things that happen stay there. But then how do you build trust again with the same person? over again, and you know it's safe for you to do that. You can tell they've learned things, but how do you go from that point? How do you rebuild from there to do that?
So one of the things that you have to really do is, again, that decision. That decision is the most important thing there, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
feel like both parties, both of you all are in alignment and you all are going willing to do this together, there has to be, and I'm trying to put, because I have some steps to that. I'm trying to pull this up because I actually wrote this out because I have a lot of questions about that. But you have to really get to the place where, one, you're deciding that, okay, so as the person who is the breacher of the trust, if you will, they have to understand that the other person's the victim, if you will, it has to go through their process, and you don't have control over it. You
Okay.
don't get to decide, well, you need to be over this. We've been going through this 90 days right now. I mean, like, when are you going to get over this, right? You have to go through every question. If they ask the same question 50 million ways, you got to answer it 50 million ways,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And I would really say you need to answer it 50 million times the same way because they need to really build that trust and know that exactly what you're saying is true. So they have to figure it out. They have to figure out, why did this happen? Usually that is the biggest thing. They talk about on Google during the pandemic, the biggest question that most people ask in Google over 2021 is why. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
wants to know why. Why did this happen? What was it about me? What did I do? What did I say? Why? And so you have to answer those whys, right? But the person that has been victimized, to unvictimize themselves, they have to put a time limit. Now, people can say, well, how do you put a time on your emotions? If I'm going through this, you decide to do so. It's about mastering your emotions, and so that they're not being a master to you. And so when you put a time limit, you know what? So you've been cheating on me for 6 months. I need at least double that time. I mean, that may sound crazy, but if we can't figure this out and weave through this in 12 months, then we need to just go our separate ways, love each other, and go our separate ways. And then you want to make sure that once you do that, you don't bring the past. You give the past its separate transaction and give it its away. Just take it away and leave it alone. Don't do that. Don't take conversations and spend them. If you take something and you spend it, right? And if there's loose things in the air, it's going to all come in there. You're going to have paper. You're going to have the last week's argument. You're going to have the week's arguments before that, the month before. You don't let that happen. You deal with the situation for what it is at that moment, and you take you take responsibility for that then, and then you deal with everything else. You have to go through that process, but both parties have to be patient in that process and know that it's going to take some time. It is not going to happen overnight. Neither one of you get to decide how that's going to do, except for how long we're going to keep dealing with this. And if you can't deal with it, I say, I really feel like, to me, in the 6 month time, if you are not getting through that in 6 months, get some help for the next 6 months. Don't get to the 12 month. I'm sorry.
Hold on a second. Let me take.
Okay. You don't get to the 12 month and then go, oh, well, let's just break up, because you really didn't try everything. So try more. And that's 6 months in. We can't do this by ourselves. Let's get a coach, let's get a therapist, let's get somebody to help us walk through this situation that can give us some real exercises to really do. One of the things I would tell my clients is to write down what your expectations in that trust part is, right? Write that thing down. Don't discuss it. Write it down. There's a transference of power that happens when you're writing things, right? So write those things down. This is what I need from you, and this is how I need you to show me. So.
And that almost goes with the love languages, because everybody receives it differently.
Yes.
But then also, I know I have found with my clients, so many people don't know how to fight fairly or discuss or, have a heated or an emotionally charged discussion fairly.
Yeah.
It becomes a your fault, you did, me, you, I, he, she, instead of discussing the topic, what needs to be discussed, the issue,
Mm-hmm.
not bringing in, your brother and your sister and your ex, boyfriend and your sister-in-law that,
Yeah.
and that's where a lot of times too, if you notice this early on, even before the 6 months, that there's a lot of this, where it becomes very personal. Um, that's where you need to get a coach, get a therapist, get somebody, so you're on an even playing ground, because that's not fair if you're being manipulated emotionally when you're trying to discuss something to heal it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
that is one thing that I see a lot, is people just don't know how to have a emotionally charged discussion without taking offense at it.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard, because think about it, what do we see, what kind of, are we being shown on the television, what kind of visions are we being told,
Mm-hmm.
when there's a fight? Think about the soap operas that, with our age group, are a lot of time, I know my grandmother watched them, my mother watched them, she was an As the World Turns fan, and there was just these horrible arguments, and they were bringing up mistresses and all this crazy, and that's, it was this big drama, and that's what TV, and that's what got the ratings. You're not getting any ratings in your living room, you're getting hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
The Nielsen's are not sitting there rating your argument, or your discussion that turned into an argument. It should never get to the point where it's heated.
yeah.
And you should be able to always say to the person, if they say something that is hurtful, hey, that kind of stung, and this is why.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just say it hurt and then close up. You've got to be able to express why it hurt.
Yeah.
One of the things I notice about tension and arguments and all these things, they all are basically, it all boils down to tension in the body and energy and how you're flowing, or if you're holding, right? Because if
Mm-hmm.
you're bracing for punches, you start to look for them and expect them, and you
Mm-hmm.
see them and they're phantom, but they still come at you, because that's what your body is training to look for the survival, that's the state you're in.
Right.
So it's almost like, if you could arrange, this is hypothetical, if you could arrange being dancing and having a discussion at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
your body might release it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
If you're just sitting there holding because you want to focus, you want them to know that you're being attentive to them. But it also creates a sense of tension or anxiety that's not being released from the body itself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, I noticed when certain things happen, I feel my stomach drop. I hold my breath, or I start to tense up, or, just getting in the state of even gently rocking back and forth, like
Mm-hmm.
you do when you're holding a child, to add that little bit of comfort, that little bit of space for the light to come in, God to reach in and say, okay, I'm going to take this tension from you, and you can just receive this information.
Yeah.
You can interpret it using discernment and then respond versus react. Because when you're sitting there waiting like a still body of water, you're going to react by anything that comes in.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you said that. I have a technique called STAR. We're all kids. Everybody wants to be a star. Oh my God, I want to be a star. So I tell my clients, when you're in a place where your emotions are on high, be a star. It stands for stop, think, assess, and respond. And as you said, respond and not react. And so when you stop, I mean, literally, because if you think about things, you're probably not going to react the same way. You're going to respond differently. You're going to think about it. What's happening? Who is in the room? What environment are you in? Is this person meant to harm you? Are they a person that hates you? Do they love you? Would they do harm to you on purpose? Things of those stuff. Assess those questions and then respond and not react. When you start to do that, responding is logical, reacting is emotional. So you're mastering your emotions to be able to get that done.
We have a question over here from Wanda, and she's asking, how do you discuss hard issues that seem impossible to overlook? The elephant in the room.
Wow.
Take it out back and shoot it. No, I'm just
Actually, I think what Coach just said was a really good response. It was a good answer to that. Is we want to respond and not react. You want to think about it. You want to think about how is this going, what I'm about to say, how is this going to affect the other person? um how devastated am I going to be if I hurt them? How do I need to watch my words that I don't start reacting when they come back at me? So it's almost like April says, it's like a dance. I mean, because you're anticipating that next move.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I think about hard issues um, is to kind of put scenarios on them. So take you out of it, right? So just say, let's just use alter egos in our relationships when we're dealing with conversations that are difficult. So me, when I have a husband, his name, whatever his name is going to be, right? So if my name is Michelanome, his name is Don, then instead of me being Michelanome, then I'll be Susan, and then you be Thomas. And then let's have a conversation about Susan and Thomas. Susan and Thomas were going through this thing, and they didn't know how to do it. And, Susan kind of did something to Thomas, and Thomas doesn't really know. So when you do that, it takes that takes that tension off of y'all, right? And you kind of know that you're talking about each other, but it goes across so smoothly when you're having these scenarios, right?
Mhm.
And then so what happens is, when you're doing it, you don't want to kind of go into, Thomas and Susan did this. You want to make it funny. Remember, oh my God. So like Thomas and Susan went through this whole thing, and you know what, she could have just left his butt alone. You make it fun, you release it, right? So now you guys are released, and then you kind of really come back together and go, wow. So how do we deal with this going forward? And then you kind of bring it back to you in your relationship. And that kind of gives you this way that it'll have you, because think about it, when we're kids, when we become adults, we forget that childlike reactions of how we used to do, right? Somebody comes over, takes your swing, you get mad, and then you push them off. I got you off my swing, nah. Oh, you did. Chase you around the playground. You get back on the swing, y'all play again, right? But you got to get back to that energy of that playfulness. And we can't do that when we're angry. Now, this may sound a little challenging when you're in the heated moment, but when you are having a great time with each other, set up boundaries of how you will respond to those things when they come up. And the scenario thing is one of those boundaries that you can do. You can say, well, let's have a bowl in the middle, right? Any issues that we need to talk about before you leave for the day, you write it down, drop it in the bowl, and you put his name on it. They pull it out. Now they gotta, it's written. We're gonna deal with this, because now you've shared it, but you didn't verbalize it, because people sometimes are afraid to verbalize things because they feel this pain from just saying it, right? And sometimes writing it down makes it easier to do that. So it's so many different ways that you can do it. Another way is feeling comfortable with someone that you can trust, being a mediator, feeling like it's so okay. Just, I don't need you to say nothing, friend. Just be here because you're my moral support, if you will. So you got to find something, but you should not be in a relationship where you cannot be vulnerable enough to stand in front of each other but naked. And that's mentally, spiritually, physically, and be able to have that conversation. If you're not safe, because that's what that safety is, you've got to find ways to become safe again. And that's a process that you have to go through.
Okay, is there any other?
I really, really like that. Finding ways to be safe again. Finding ways to be safe again in yourself enough to hear what you're actually asking for, what you actually need in terms of the support of yourself. Do you need time for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need space?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to create a ritual for yourself when you get up in the morning. That's just a little bit of self-care, even
Mm.
positive self-talk, spending time reading your Bible or Quran or whatever it is that you need to do to center yourself for your spiritual well-being.
Yeah, that's really good.
um, it doesn't take very long to do 2 minutes a day of being grateful when you first get up, or a minute, or 30 seconds of just, I'm thankful that I woke up and I'm breathing this morning. I'm thankful that I have a chance to even analyze this pain that's been going on several times, and it's okay to give yourself the space to do that, to create that safety so that you can fully purge. Because if you can't release it, you don't allow for the God or the universe to fill you back up.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
And it's good. It's good what's coming in right now.
yeah, that's so.
Yeah. And it's another thing. I remember Sean, he's been on the playground too. He gave me, I had to have a hard talk with my partner. And he was saying, you know what, before you even talk, sit down and visualize, how do you want this conversation to go? And I was
Mm.
like, oh, that's a good way of thinking. It's like, you sit down, you picture him, you sitting down, you telling them whatever it is, you were picturing his reaction. How do you actually want this to go? And then also go off of that intentions. I'm going from this, for me, having this hard conversation, that I'm going to be heard. He's going to understand me. And this is how I'm going in the intentions that, and it sets when you do that, and which was very good advice, that everything that I had to talk about, even in the conversations, helped me to come from that place that said, okay, remember what I say, the way I want this to go. I'm supposed to be heard. Well, if I'm yelling and screaming, he's not going to hear me. So that means when I'm talking to him about this hard conversation, watch the tone that I'm using, because again, I want to be heard. I want him to understand me. And so that has really helped me with all different hard conversations that I have. I would say that's the tip I would pass on, that I borrowed from Sean. That again, sit there and visualize before I know I'm going to have that conversation, and then see how do I see it ending in a positive note. So that's another tidbit that I can give and share about that too,
That's
as
good. I
well.
like that, Divine, because this is the thing. What we expect, we receive. So if
Mhm.
you're going in visualizing it to be this positive situation, you're going to get that positive situation. That's
Right. Yeah, and it has worked. It's like, okay, I was heard. So each time when I do that,
yeah.
I'm trying to see, was there anybody else? What she said, the same thing. Okay, I'm trying to see what it pretty for you one. Same elephant in the room scenario here. However, there's more involved. Emotions are everywhere. Knowing this was coming to an end, red flag, betrayal, self-worth, and no boundaries. I seen on your video too. You had something about boundaries. So she's talking about that. What are some things that you can do in order to set boundaries, if I'm understanding that? I guess in some ways, when you have that talk, the talk is we're ending. In some ways, I mean, how can you do? How can you?
Yeah.
How can you have that? Now that's a real elephant in the room. But
Yeah.
again, maybe they might say, "Nah, baby, let's try it one more time." Like, no, oh, you trying to? This is my thing, or they're trying to convince you to come out of it. I don't know. I'm putting words in the person's mouth. Pretty for you one. Please add on to it and say, what is it that, if we're off the what you're asking for, but you can just chime in about the boundaries thing, though. Most definitely.
So in order for you to set boundaries, you have to know what your clear standards and your core standards and your core values are. So you have to really go within yourself and find out what those things are. I always tell people go, well, how do I know what my real standards are? You just write things that you desire, that are good, that are positive, that are naturally, innately attached to who you are on the core side of you.
Okay.
You write those things down. Just keep writing, keep writing, keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. Just spend 30 minutes in meditation, spend some time, listening, and just write, right? Then you go through those things and you take those top 10 and you take a pencil, right? And you say, what is flexible and what are must haves, right? Then you take those things and you measure them by the person that you're with. Are they giving me these things, right? And so if they're not, now you have to say, okay, so I know we didn't do this in the beginning, right? But I kind of don't want anybody that yells at me. And if you have to, because some people go, well, I mean, we're grown, I can do what I want to. No, but it makes me feel this way. And the reason why is because my mother yelled at me all my life. And I just can't hear you that way. As a matter of fact, I had this situation with my daughter. She's 23. And I've always been a yeller all of her life, my kid's life. I've just been a yeller. I felt like I didn't have the father figure in the house. I was a single mother. I felt like I had to yell to get my point across, right? I got this male child. He's strong. He's an alpha male, even when he was little. And so I'm thinking, I'm a yeller. Somebody's going to hear me up in this joint, you know? And so I remember her saying, Mom, you don't have to yell. I'm listening. And so I had to first then go back and now I don't want anybody yelling at me, but did I check myself on these same standards that I'm asking of someone else? And I didn't do that. So you have to be willing to go back and check your own standards. Are you then looking or doing this to other people? Are you living up to the things that you want other people not to do to you, right? Once you figure that thing out, then you start to tell people how you expect the relationship to go, and you set those boundaries. But this is the caveat. You have got to be willing to uphold them because you can lose somebody. They may not like your boundaries. And if they don't like your boundaries and they want to say bye-bye, you have to go, I love you, farewell. Because that's standing true to who you are and true to what your boundaries are. Because the very first moment you break your promise to yourself, you cannot blame anybody else for breaking those same promises to you.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Hey, but did you want to add something? Pretty for you one says thank you so very much for that. Hey, but did you want to add?
No, I thought that was absolutely perfect. There's a whole lot going down in all the places with babies.
That's usually a signal. Right there.
New moon is a rough one. You know, guys, this change that's happening is happening to us fast.
Yes.
Just remember, Coach Michelanome has a YouTube channel with a lot of free material on it. Check out her website. I mean, I guess I'm signing out because I got to go. But anyway, it was wonderful having you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
I can't wait to have you again because I got other things to ask you. I'm gonna have a list. Ooh, where we can like ask questions and you make videos and stuff. Do you have stuff you can tell us about?
I actually do. I do coffee and coaching, and I answer questions. If you want a question asked of me, you can email me at letstalk@coachmichelanome.com. I will physically type you out the answer, and then I will also I do videos with those answers to share. I don't tell who sent the question, so I won't reveal who you are, but I will share that because I really believe we're more alike than we are different. And because of that, somebody else may be going through the same thing. So you send me an email with your question, give me 24 hours, I'll answer you back.
Okay, so that's her contact information there.
Oh, no, not that one. Take that one down.
That one? Okay, not that one. This one?
Let's talk.
Okay, let's talk. Okay, let me put that. Let me add it in there right now so they can have it. So there's let's what?
Let's talk at coachmichelanome.com.
Okay.
I love you, but I gotta sign off. Gotta get my.
Go on.
Stay blessed, stay golden, and remember you were made.
Everybody. Okay, let's talk at Coach Michelanome. What is it? .com you said?
Yes.
Okay. Make sure it's right here. Okay, let me make sure. Let me show that. This is on the fly. Y'all know that I don't do this for my life. I'm a teacher by Transformational. Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
Beautiful. So you know the great thing is she's going to be here for our 4/4 event, and she's probably going to be on here again. We might have a little part 2. I'll talk to her off the air. But
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you so very much. The information that you gave us was really, I'm seeing over here, I'm trying to see in the back. Yeah, great. Okay, Benita says great, everybody. So yes, this has been a beautiful time. I say it again, to help us to really understand of being able to perfect and master our spiritual side, well, so as what's going on in the world. And I think that we really covered a lot of ground just in this hour and 20 minutes talking together. So again, make sure that you click like and share and subscribe to this channel, because we're going to have many other great things going on here too, on the playground and as well so as on this channel. So you want to make sure that you do that. You smash that notification bell so you know when we're going live as well. But we got some many more guests that's coming on. Again, this like also coach as well. And so I want you to make sure that you are getting the keys to union so you all could be ready to be whole within yourself, and then also attract those things that coach was talking about into your life that you want, not things by happenstance or by accident. It's a difference. You can't control your world. Okay.
Can I offer this to your audience too? I have a free ebook, a free relationship rescue ebook on my website. If you go onto my site, she put the site up there, the www.coachmichelanome.com.
Okay.
And there is a free ebook there. You have to put your email in and it'll send you the PDF. You can download it and use it. It's very helpful.
Okay, great. Most definitely. So yeah, so you all get most definitely go or run over there. Not walk, but run. I'm gonna leave it up there. Run and go get this stuff from her, because we need all the tools and the resources so we can be ready for 2021. Most definitely. I was listening a lot to Charles. Okay, and so thank you so very much for those of you all that were in the sunshine. Those I call in my little chat, I call them the Sunshine Lounge. They were hanging out over there on the side. Let me see. I want to just give a quick shout out to you all. Mimi, thank you. That's my moderator. I seen there was some interesting stuff going down. You and Ethereal handled that. Thank you so very much. Pretty for you, one. You're new. Thank you for being in this chat and the Sunshine Lounge too as well. Benita, thank you. That's my regular. Tara, thank you. I'm trying to see Wanda. Hey, I see you. Thank you, Kia. Thank you for coming. All right, then. And I'm trying to Peaceful Warrior. Thank you. I'm so glad we helped you as well. And Kat was here. I'm seeing Tammy was here. I was trying to shout everybody. Kelly. Okay, that's me. Yes. Okay, I see a new comment. Beautiful. Thank you so very much. Do you have a regular sign off that you have on your YouTube that you do? Because most of the time we sign off on whatever we do on our own individualized video YouTube. Do you have an ending?
I don't, besides my bye.
I know.
Yes, I see. I hope it just helps. Bye.
All right, then. And as always, stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay extended. Namaste, namago. All right, until next time, and we'll be talking to you real soon. All right? Okay, then. Bye.
Bye.